Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're all well. I hope you've had a good day. I hope things have been progressing forward despite the delays in lockdown, etc. But I think we were all I think we all expected that there was going to be an extension of sorts. But at least we have, I think, in most destinations now, a relaxing of the lockdown, and it's just a case of looking at when we can start taking bookings and how we can manage those bookings. A couple of things before we dive in. Just so that you can make a note in case I forget at the end. Terms and conditions and payment. So how do we ensure that if we take a booking now, can we retain some money towards that booking? We need to make sure that your T's and C's are legal, first of all. So are they legal? Do they cover all eventualities so that you can have a truly non-refundable deposit of some sorts? So a number of clients have reached out to me to look at different things. And on the last training session, we talked about damage waivers, we talked about cancellation protection fees, etc. So there are all these things, but what can we have so that when you get a booking, you're guaranteeing that some of that money you're going to keep so that at least you've got income that you do not have to refund, and there's not going to be an argument about refunding that amount of money as well. So what I wanted to do, because we're all in this together, and I think we've got so many different ideas, so many different brains that we can put together, we can make sure that you've got a good set of terms and conditions across the board that will work in all destinations and across all eventualities. So I'm going to be putting something out in the group tomorrow. So if you do want to speak to your solicitors beforehand, who does your T's and C's, if you've got someone who is a lawyer, etc., let's have an open debate. If we need to jump onto a call, I'll gauge how the interest is going, what the feedback is, but I will make myself available sort of throughout the morning, so that we can jump on a conference call, and we can actually discuss the ins and outs together. Because as I say, it's vitally important now that we protect your businesses, so that you've always got, if something like this should happen again, you have got peace of mind that you're protected, and the money that you've accounted for is truly your money, and therefore the money that you sit in your client account or your trust account, worst case scenario is you've got that money there to refund. So I just wanted to get that out of the way before it slipped my mind as we go through the training session. So as always, just so everyone can hear me, make sure the sound quality is good. Can you put a little chat into a little message into the chat window? Let me know that you can see my screen okay, you can hear me okay. Great stuff. Okay, so today we're going to go through the booking management training. This is just going to be the foundations of the booking management. So we're going to go through the basics of creating a booking and the basics of managing a booking. Whereas tomorrow we go into some more of the advanced stuff, when unfortunately you might get things like complaints, having to retain security deposits, etc. How do we do maintenance calls that booking air conditioning is not working, pool heating is not working, etc. How can we handle all of that? That will be in tomorrow's session. So today, if we go through anything that's not in your current system, you won't be on the latest version. I think the majority of stuff, again, should be available to all subscription levels. But if you just reach out to support, Jonathan will confirm if we can get that added to your system, and advise you on how you can update it onto your version. If we go through the system, when we go through the demo today, you've got the chat option to chat through. You've also got the QA section where you can ask a question, and I'll make sure that we go over those questions so that you've got your questions answered. If you need to chat to me directly, you can raise your hand, put a message in the chat window, and we'll open up your microphone. Excuse me, so that you can actually you can talk to us and we can go through exactly what your requirement is. So hopefully we should be ready to go. I think most people are on now, so we're going to dive in and follow on from the training session yesterday. So I will zoom in. So what we're going to do, first of all, straightforward, is we're going to convert the inquiries that we created yesterday straight through to a booking, and we're going to go through the booking process. So we'll go for the first one at the top here, Simon Note, and we actually have one of these properties on hold. So I'm going to come over to the details tab, and on this particular property, on this particular inquiry, we have a number of properties that we had listed, but we only had one of them on hold. So we put the beachfront on hold. So I'm going to go ahead and book that just by simply clicking the green book button. Okay, so we have a couple of compulsory fields. So just to confirm, if I was going through this way, there would be one of two reasons why I would go through this way. Number one is they're on the phone to me right now. Maybe they're on the chat window and they're talking to us that way, and they want us to process the booking over the phone. So we would process it on their behalf. The second one would be that they sent us an email through with all their details, requesting can they go ahead and book, and in those two scenarios it would seem silly to actually go, okay, yeah, no problem, I'm going to send you a link now so that you can complete the booking form yourself. It seems like you're creating extra work for the guest. So in this scenario, if the guest is a guest that prefers to speak to you, I would always take on the work myself to process that booking. And when I say I and myself, I'm expecting you guys to take that attitude with your guests so that you give them that personable service, which I'm sure the majority of you would do already, which is perfect. So let's put some dummy data in here. We then come through to the next screen. So we've got the dates, we've got how many guests are coming. I could at this point request the names of all the guests. However, I'm not going to do that right now because that's a lot of data entry for me to do. But if I keep the one there, I could take their passport number, for example, and I could take a mobile number as well. So let's just put a mobile number in there. This particular property, we haven't got any extras. So there's nothing here for me to select from. However, if you haven't assigned extras to a property, you always have the ability to create a custom extra. Okay, so you can create a custom extra at any point, and that will allow me to cover anything. So we could say here, they've specifically requested, because of the value of the property, they specifically want a meet and greet. And we're going to charge them $250 for that meet and greet. So if we then click confirm to the next screen, I then have the ability to process the payment. So just bear 1 second. Just going to go and get a credit card details. So we'll select debit card. We're going to pay the deposit. It's telling me at the top here that the guest doesn't have to pay the balance until the 31st of October. So I'm going to allow them to pay the deposit. There's two things that you can do on a phone booking that you can't do on the front end, obviously. Well, sorry, there's one thing. The second thing I was going to say was the new feature that we talked about, which hopefully you're all going to take advantage of, which is the early booking deposit feature. So if this booking was far enough in advance, it would allow me to book today with maybe £50, £100, £150, whatever setting you put in your system. However, on a phone booking, you do have the ability to agree a completely custom deposit amount. So it's flexible. There is no control over it. So therefore it allows you to dictate what you want to take. So it's up to you whether or not you use that, but it's only going to be used sparingly. It's not going to be something you use all the time. Okay, so we're not going to go through adding vouchers at this stage, but we're putting the card details in. We've got the guest is ticked and the owner is ticked. So the thing I have to point out here is that these emails will only send if you have the rules in the background configured to send at this point. So you might have like an overriding thing that means that none of these emails will send. But this here just allows you on a case by case basis to say, oh, actually, there's something strange with this booking. We're doing a special deal here. I'm not going to send them automatically. I will process the booking. So I'm going to untick them both. I'm going to process the payment, process the booking, make my changes, and then I will actually process the, then I'll send the email, sorry. Okay, I'm just going to go through that again. Okay, so we'll do another one in a second. I just want to go through and run this through because this one's got some extra options here. Okay, so the booking's been processed. What we could now do is we could make whatever adjustment that we wanted to make, whether or not it's a message that we wanted to add or we wanted to send a custom message to this particular guest. These have actually come through from the inquiry. They've not come from the booking. So we do carry across, which is important to note. If you've agreed something within the inquiry section, I don't need to try and find the right inquiry. I can see from here all the emails that were sent from the inquiry section, and any agreements that we've had. So let's say you've got a team of people, team of customer services people, and one of the new people say, yeah, it's 5 minutes walk away, no problem at all. You'll be able to get to the beach. And that was written in an email. And of course, the beach is a good 15, 20 minutes away. As soon as you get that complaint, you will be able to see who wrote that email, etc. So you'll be able to backtrack and have an audit trail there. Because, you know, as we know, guests are quite demanding, especially at the sales perspective, at the sales point, what they want from the property and what they can get for their money. But at the same time, if we say the wrong thing, then it's always going to lead to a complaint. If we put the wrong guest in the wrong property, you know, you're guaranteeing you're not going to get a 5-star review. And if you don't get a 5-star review, you're not going to get that loyal customer base that you're looking for. So it's really important when you are dealing with a team of people that you have some accountability for them, so that you can, you know, make sure that they are doing everything in your best interests. So none of the emails sent for the booking. So what I'm now going to do is click send email, and I'm going to say deposit paid and whatever my personal message is that I wanted to add. So I'll put my personal message here, and then I'll send that through to the guest. So we've now got our email there. And then in this example, I'm going to come back to all the other stuff in a minute. I just want to put a couple of bookings through so you can see how I'm doing it, and see if there's anything that you haven't been doing or something that you could now take advantage of. So let's go through and take this next one here. So John Biggin. So let's say John calls up and wants to process his booking. So we're going to take the Pony Cottage one. Now this one has only got one, and it's for the 5th to the 12th. I would always open it up, actually. You can book it directly from here, but I would open it up. Make sure that we're happy with everything. We've got 5 adults. There's no pets going. So yes, we want to go ahead and book. It's still available. If this wasn't available, we'd have to go through the add property section that we went through yesterday. Oh. Okay, so let's put this as Google, and then we continue. Hope we haven't got extras on this one either. Okay, so let's add my extra in. So we'll do a meet and greet again. This one, I'll put that in as £100. So I'll put a little note on there as well. And this time I'm going to leave these two ticked, and we're going to go and pay the deposit. Now, the thing that I need to point out here is that dependent on how much they pay, whether or not they pay anything at all, or they're paying the balance, will determine which email we send through to the guest. So for example, if I was to send this through now, we'd class that as a deposit paid booking. So we would send the deposit paid confirmation. If I process the full payment, we would consider that the balance has been paid, and therefore we would send the balance confirmation. With the balance confirmation, you may get the arrival details that go through as well, so that they have the address of the property, the Wi-Fi code, the key code, etc. Depending on your workflows will determine what you send at this particular point. The other thing you have to note, I may have to enter this again, but let me just put this back to bank transfer. When we do a bank transfer, we have this option here, payment cleared, yes or no. This is really important. If you say yes, iPro will consider that the booking has been paid in full, and you may not have received any money whatsoever. This is the same with direct to owner, guest paid owner, voucher payment, Stripe, pay later, internal payment, cash on arrival. All of these we consider offline payment methods. And this is why on our user permissions, if you remember, we said about only allowing certain users to have access to certain payment types, so that you can limit your risk of bookings being marked as paid when no physical cash has been received. Now, of course, our bank reconciliation reports will allow you to flag up on this, but the more you can stop it at source, the better. So if I was doing a bank transfer and I'm processing this because the bank transfer arrived in my bank today and we had it on hold in the inquiries, for example, I would say bank transfer, and I would say payment cleared, yes, and therefore we are agreeing that the booking deposit has been paid for this booking. If I say no, I'm going to process this booking as a provisional booking. So the calendar will be blocked out. The booking will be confirmed as such, but there will be no money against the booking. You may then have a rule in place that will automatically cancel the booking after X number of days if the guest doesn't pay in time. So, and again, that's a variable, so you guys can define what your workflows are in that particular example. So what I'm going to do, I am going to just put this through as a payment now. So debit, credit cards. I've got the card details in. I'm going to leave these two ticked this time, and I'm going to agree the T's and conditions. Confirm. I'm going to always do confirm and open on the training, but what you may look to do now is use the confirm button, because if you don't have to update anything else, there is no point in opening the booking. If you do confirm, it just moves you back to the booking list. So if I click confirm and open, you seem to have an error with this custom extra. Okay, it seems to be on the custom extra on my demo system, so I need to have a look at that. Okay, so we've gone through to the booking, and now I'm going to step you through what we have in the top section so you can see what is happening within the system. Just bear 1 second, I just want to check. Okay. So we've got ignore booking rules at the top. So when we looked at this on the inquiries, it could be changeover days, it could be the minimum length of stay, it could be the number of people that you're allowing in the property. Are they bringing an extra child? So if you click ignore booking rules before you process the booking, this will already be ticked. and it will have your name and the date and time of when that switch was turned on, so that you know who ignored the rules. So if I click save now, you can see it comes up with Andrew Jones on the 13th of May at 15:22. That means that I won't be reminded now that this booking has broken the booking rules, because I've already authorized that it's okay. Disable alerts and reminders. This is a master switch, which means for this booking alone, I do not want any of the automated workflows to go through. So again, it's going to be something you use sparingly. If we have a complaint against the booking and it gets tagged as a complaint here, so we should have a complaint raised. If that tag is on a booking, this will automatically get ticked, and no feedback emails will be automatically sent. We've got the order date and time, and we have who modified it last. We've got the unique booking reference. We've talked about brands on the other training session, so this one's come through as iPro Holidays. We've got the status, and we can cancel the booking from here. We'll go through that tomorrow. The name of the client, the telephone number, mobile number, etc., which properties they've booked, who processed the booking, the currency of the booking, the source of the booking, and then we have the booking tags. So these are the automated booking tags, if you remember, that we went through here. And you can configure lots of different rules. So this booking, we have a lead time of 91 to 180. 180 days, and we have the deposit paid status. We have the ID collected, because we collected their passport ID, and we've automatically tagged it as agent processed. So it was processed over the phone and not from the website. Nature of stay we didn't select, so I can go ahead and say that it's a family gathering, for example, or just a general holiday. Any questions? So as soon as we add a booking to iPro, all of your calendars will be updated via the channel manager. Likewise, if anyone is using your iCal links, those iCals will be updated as well, based on when they resync with the iCal. So the channel manager is instant, as quick as it can be. And then the iCal, it all depends on the other company when they refresh to grab the latest version of the iCal. So the iCal itself is 100% up to date in real time, but the other party has to come and grab the URL, and they maybe do it every hour, every 6 hours, every 24 hours, and then they update their calendars. So the lead time for me, I use this as a tool to say, what is the average time that someone books to the date that they arrive? So when I set up my booking tags as an example, I actually created some rules. So we've got lead time is 7 days. So that means they book, and within 7 days, they're arriving at the property. 8 to 30 days, so basically within the 30-day time limit. Then we've got 30 to 61, 61 to 90, etc. And what you'll find for your quiet months, you're obviously going to be in these first three. And then for your peak weeks, you're going to be in these ones here. So the idea is just to try and gauge how people book for certain months of the year. Just a question from Kate here. Kate, not quite sure what you mean. Real-time chat window, we don't have it. Not sure.
I think I assume it's when you mention when you get a booking through a phone or chat. So I think that's where it's coming from. So just to clarify, so we don't have our own feature, a chat feature. So that's with the assumption that you have a third-party chat service that you're using, for example.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely recommend that you have chat on. Although to be fair, most people have turned their chat off in the current climate. So yeah, normally in normal circumstances, the chat is a very, very beneficial tool to have on your website. People prefer to use chat now than they do emails because they can ask their specific questions and they're getting near enough a real-time response. So yeah, I would definitely recommend the chat window. So just got a couple of extra questions before I carry on. What's the difference between placing a 48-hour hold on a booking or beginning the booking form but put in no when it asks if a payment is cleared? Do both options create a provisional booking, stop it from being available to others temporarily? Yes. So an on hold, first of all, blocks your calendars. So we've got a lead that is blocking the calendars and will stop anyone from booking those dates. And that's why we put a timer on there so that you can kind of set it and forget it. You don't need to remember that you've put it on hold. Whereas the provisional booking, same kind of thing. It's except for this time you are actually collecting more information from the guest. So you might collect all of their address details. You might collect all of the guest details. You might work out which extras they want added to the booking and add all that to the booking, but they haven't yet paid you. So that's the difference between a provisional booking and an on hold. A provisional booking is you have gone through the full booking process and you've got a physical booking record, but it will show as no payment received. And yes, in terms of the ID details that we collect, we do have some reports that are available to the owners that will contain those IDs for them to use with their touristic license, etc. Okay, so lead time we've gone through. You can, I'm not going to go through the booking tags because you can set up lots of different ones here, and we went through this all on the setup configuration. But the idea is here that you can add your booking tags manually, or you can just allow the rules to automatically assign them as the booking status changes. So if I save and exit this booking now, you will see that we are actually in view bookings here. So if I go back to dashboard, you'll see that John was at the top there. If I go to bookings and view bookings, this will allow me to view all of my bookings. And I've got some color coding going on here. So I've got yellow, means that we've had a payment against the booking. I've got green, which means the booking is paid in full. And I should have some other ones. So I've got this one's actually an overpayment, so it's gone white. Then I've got some owner bookings here, which are white with the blue tag. But if I come to my list and use my quick filter, click on booking deposit outstanding, this will show me all the bookings where we haven't got any money paid. And you'll see they're flagged up in red. Okay, so a lot of these are the old bookings because it's a demo system, so they haven't cancelled off. But what I would expect to see is that your bookings, once they're not paid, I would expect them to be automatically cancelling, and I'd expect the guest to have an email to say that their booking has been cancelled. If they wish to rebook, they need to call us urgently because the dates are available to the open market again. Okay, so if I was looking for a booking, I'm just going to come back to view bookings again. I can search by name, so I can search on John. It brings up all the Johns. I can search on the property. So if we type in the property name, brings through the property. You can actually search on multiple properties as well. You have got the ability to look at all bookings that are checking in within the next month, for example, next 60 days. You'll notice that it always starts from today. So these quick links are quite handy. So this is just all the bookings in the next 90 days, 120 days, where the name is John. You can also search against email address and the booking ID. So if they gave us the booking ID, so let's take this one here. I just simply put the booking ID in, click search, and it will automatically bring that booking up for me. And then we have a couple of options from here. We can open the booking, come back to list. We can log a phone call against the booking. We can send an email, And the emails will be using the booking email template. So you see I've got more emails to choose from here than I had from the inquiry section. And you can actually cancel the booking from here. Although what a little bit of transparency, I'm probably going to remove that because what I would like people to use is the cancel booking feature here, because we have more functionality here. And actually when you cancel a booking, it should trigger another series of events. You shouldn't just be canceling a booking. So you know, there should be a reason why you're canceling the booking, and what happens to the financials is a decision that can either be automated or you can manually adjust on a case-by-case basis. So I would stay away from that particular button. And as I say, 9 times out of 10, you probably just want to open the record and do all of your activity inside the booking. So reports, we're going to go through in a separate training session. And yes, we do have certain things for the finances, etc. Does the booking show in red if the balance has not been paid after the due date? So it doesn't actually, Greg, in terms of the booking status, they only work on what the current balance is. So has there been a payment made? Has there been no money being paid? And has it been paid in full? However, again, coming back to the workflows of the system, if we go all the way back to our dashboard configuration, which we'll do in the reports training session, like here, I've got today test. So this is just a test example. But if a person hasn't paid me on time, then I'm expecting them to appear on this report when their payment is overdue, for example. So I would set up a series of rules that says, I'm going to send a reminder 7 days before, 3 days before, 2 days before, 1 day before, your payment is due today. Now your payment is overdue. I'm going to send them an email, and I'm also going to put them on this list here, for example, so that my team can call them up and take payment for that particular booking. So we kind of trigger it that way around. So booking tags, they trigger a number of events, and they also allow us to report on various different things. So the booking tags themselves, we can control all of your automated workflows on these bookings. So for example, if we don't have ID collected in this booking tag here, we can send an email to the customer reminding them that they have to log into their guest portal to fill out their customer ID, i.e. passport details. If we tag the booking as a pet, that they're bringing a pet with them, we could send them our welcome pack that reminds them of what they have to do with the dog, i.e. the dog's not allowed to sit on the sofa, or make sure that they use the available blankets that we've provided for the dog. There's a doggy basket in the cupboard, whatever it may be. If there is a hot tub, what are the rules of using the hot tub? How do they care for the hot tub, etc. So these tags are really important for workflows. They're really important for reports, because I can say, well, okay, out of all the money that we generated this month, how much of that money was booked more than 6 months in advance? Or how much of it was booked within 30 days of them actually arriving? So I get a feel of where I should be focusing my marketing. You know, if, for example, you know, probably now's a bad example, but let's say November, when we get into September, to maximize my occupancy in November, I only start pushing those weeks in September, for example. Christmas, we know that the majority of our people start booking 6 months ahead. Rather than pushing all the last minute of August, I should actually be focusing my campaign on Christmas, because that's where I'm going to get the most of my money, and the last minute stuff takes care of itself. So, you know, that's where the tags really, really help. They're used for your internal business intelligence, so that you can make informed decisions, but also we will trigger certain events based on certain tags. So once we move down to the next section, we have a series of tabs along the top here. So we're going to go through booking details today. Summary, we're actually not going to go through. There's not much in here that is needed. It's just it's only going to be applicable. This summary tab is only applicable if you have multiple properties in the same booking, and we're not covering multiple properties in this training session. But just so that you are aware, you can quite happily book 5 properties in one booking, and they will all be listed on the booking details tab. And in the summary tab, you'll see that the total price, let's say they're all 6,000, it will be £30,000. We're going to go through the activity tab, which is where all your communication should be recorded. We're going to skip the management tab. This is what you would use to track once the guest arrives at the property. So cleaning, meet and greet, linen changes, the gardener, whatever it may be, and then things like the hot tub's not working, the air conditioner's broken down, they can't get any hot water, etc. All of those events that could potentially happen while the guest is in the property is recorded within this management tab. That allows us to track everything and keep on top of it. Payment history, we're going to go through this, and you've got your client details, which is your customer information, and then you've got your owner details, which you'll also have any important contacts like the housekeeper, the cleaner, the gardener, who the maintenance person is, etc. That information should all be available here. So let's go back to booking details. So private internal notes. Here, this is only visible to you and your team, okay? So anything you put in here is not going to go anywhere other than to the person that's got open this record right now. The arrival notes, so you could put in here flight details, or what time they plan to arrive, so that the housekeepers can organize their cleaning schedule based on their arrival time. Sorry. Same with the departure notes. You put in here when they plan to leave. Now, it may be always that they're leaving at 10 a.m. However, another good topic for conversation for another day is how we're going to handle your bigger properties, where nowadays you probably need more than one day to clean. You know, unless you've got an army of cleaners that you can call in for just 3 hours a week kind of thing, maybe 6 hours is not enough cleaning time anymore. So moving on to the property section, and what we'll see here, again, we're going to skip this for now, but this is where you can add multiple properties to the booking, and where you can also transfer this booking to another property. So that's an advanced part for tomorrow. So we have the number of adults with the number of children, the number of infants. The important thing with the infants is that they do not account for the occupancy. So if you put in here 5, 3, and 2, iPro is only going to worry that 8 people are going into the property. So as long as it sleeps 8 people, it won't break any rules within that particular property. It will always ignore the infants. The other thing, if you're not quite sure which property this is, if you click onto view property info, you get a breakdown of all the necessary information for this particular property. We've got the check-in date, check-out date, expected check-in time, check-out time. That will be taken from the property level itself. Again, this is really only needed if you have if you vary your check-in and check-out times per property. If you have a company-wide one, however, I am thinking now in terms of the, you know, the situation that we're currently in, you probably do want to have different check-in and check-out times depending on the size of the property. You know, you may need to extend this further so that you have got enough cleaning time. So the guest notes, this is going to be visible to the guests. So what has the guest requested that you want? Oops. But in here, you may have, for example, bedroom configuration. Okay, so it's just a free note that will go through to the guests, so you know you've got that. And actually, I may need to put that in the housekeeper as well. So that's going to go through to the housekeeper. So this would be what we send through to the housekeepers as part of the arrival information that they need to know: who's coming, the name of the guest, how many people, what they need to set up. That goes into your housekeeper notes. We then have the internal notes, which is taken straight from the property itself. So this is if you have any additional information that you need to be aware of on this particular property for any bookings that are going in. So you can use that how you wish. Then we've got the lead guest name, age, passport, email. As you can see, these aren't compulsory, but if you have that information, you keep your database more up to date. So before I go on to the financials, if you are considering having an automatic day blocked out on your calendar, there's a number of things to consider here. And it may be that it's better to start looking at not allowing 7-night bookings, but it depends on flights and tracking. I think we need to look at this on a case-by-case basis. But if you start blocking out 8 nights for a 7-night booking, you're actually going to completely impact the next week. You can only book 5 nights on the next week, or you're going to lose the next prime changeover day. So if Saturday is the best day for flights, or Saturday's the day that most people arrive, or Friday's the day that most people arrive, if you can't allow someone in until the Sunday, you've lost. You're going to lose that opportunity to have a week-long booking or 6-night booking for the next week. So you really need to look at the size of the property. Is 1 day spare enough? And if so, rather than blocking an extra day, should we not look at doing a 6-night break for the guests, or a 5-night break exactly? Or should it be a 9-night break, or a 10-night break, or an 11-night break? So for example, could you encourage people to take slightly longer than 7 nights? Could you encourage them to take an 8 or a 9-night booking for a nominal increase, but actually that's going to maximize your potential revenue for the next week, because then someone else will do a 9 or a 10 or an 11-night booking, and you're only missing out on a couple of nights each time. But my fear is, if we just add a day automatically to the calendar, my fear is you're going to do 1 booking Saturday to Saturday, say, then the next guest would have to come in on a Sunday. If you take the extra day, that will take us to Sunday, and then potentially they might not check into Monday. Are they going to want to do that 6-night booking, which is a Monday or a Sunday to the Saturday? You're really just going to have a look at what options are available to you. And then if we can get some feedback, by all means, put some ideas into the chat window. And we can follow up on this one, because I think it needs some thought, and I'm keen to come up with a solution that gives everyone a flexibility. Because at the moment you can quite happily add a booking to every booking. So you could add an owner booking or a block out to every booking for the cleaning, and you can just put the note in as cleaning. It would take a second to add to this. I don't know if I've got availability. So it's Pony Cottage. So let's go on to here, and we'll do a block out. So we'll do Pony Cottage. So this would be an internal, whoops. I don't think it's going to allow me because I'm on that page actually. So if I save and exit this a second. Okay, so there's our booking. So I would add that in. And now the next guest can't arrive until the 13th of September. So we've got that extra day for cleaning. So it would be a second process that you have to add. So you can do that at the moment, but it's not automatic. But as I say, my concern would be that you're going to end up now completely losing that week, and the next booking will come in on what, the 19th of September, for example. So you'll end up losing that whole gap. But it may well work out, because if you then put some nice pricing strategy in for your short breaks, so those 3 and 4 night breaks at, say, at 75 and 80% of the weekly price, if you get one of those bookings in between, you'll actually end up with more money than you would have done for the week rental anyway. So you need to have a look at it and see how it's going to impact your business. And if the property's smaller, keep it the same. But if you've got a bigger property, a 4, a 5 and a 6 bed plus, look at how long it takes to clean properly. And, you know, can you put in a pricing strategy that would allow you to take 3 and 4 night breaks that are at 75% of the weekly price? Okay, so I'm going to move on. One thing I have to remind you here is the in the pricing section, what I would like to see with all of your systems is that only your super users see these 3 boxes. So the green, the orange, and the red. Your sales team, customer services team, I really only want them to see the green box, which is the guest payment. I don't want them to see what the owner is getting, and I don't want them to see what your commission is, because that way you're protecting any user errors. So we have the rental amount, which is the accommodation cost. We have the cost of any extras, if they've added any extras in. Any agent commission, so that is a partner that's provided us with the booking. So this would be used if the best way of explaining it, if you're working with an agent who processes the bookings for you, handles the guests, and therefore when you put the booking in, you put their name in. So let's say it's agency X. So your lead guest or your main contact at the top here will be agency X. And therefore, agency X are not going to pay you $5,995. So let me just put this in now. So let's say you pay them £500, you give them £500 discount. They're actually going to pay you £5,495. So that's why we have the agent commission at the top. So it's completely separate to all the channels. This is a one-to-one partnership that you have with a company, and they retain ownership of the guest. They might give you the name of the guest. So they might tell you that it's John Biggins is the guest that's coming. But as far as you're concerned, agency X is the contact for that booking, and you send all of your confirmations to them. You expect them to pay you. It's their responsibility to get the payment from the guest. So that should answer your question, Ricardo. We are, in terms of the channels, as I said to you before, we're going through a bit of an overhaul there because of all these extras that we've added in. And what we're then looking at is there will be the referral fees from the channels and the fees that the channels charge us. We will be putting something into iPro, but I don't believe, because you take ownership of the guests, well, in fact, I know for a fact, we will not be using this field here. This field is only to be used if you have a one-to-one partnership with an agent who does not give you the payment, who does not allow the guest to pay with you. So they keep ownership of the client. That's the big reason why you would use this one. So we've got 5,495 from that the guest is going to pay in this particular example. If that then affects the owner supplier here, i.e. well, sorry, this should not be discounted from the owner amount. This £500 here is discounted directly from your commission and not impacting the owner amount here. So the owner's commission is being calculated on this amount here. A couple of settings here, which I'm guessing most people are not going to use the cancellation charge. And there's actually 2 ways of doing this now. So I'm going to skip, this would be more of an advanced one. So only if you have a specific requirement would I recommend that we use this. If you want to do your own cancellation protection, or refund protection, I should say, we've got Booking Protect, but you can also build in an extra where you cost in your own refund protection on every single booking. We've then got the tax, which is based on the commission and the 20% VAT or whatever the tax rate is in your company, in your country, I should say. And that is controlled by the company settings. So you control that within there. We've got £579. You'll notice that if you are a super user and you have permission to do it, you can edit things here. So if I put a checkbox in here and change this to 1,000, the amount here will calculate based on what we've got here, here, and here, so that you will reduce the money. I'm going to remove this feature. So let me just put this back to 0. And you'll see that we've got £1,000 commission now, and it automatically calculates, and the tax has gone up to £200. If I click this button and say, well, actually, we always get 20%, click confirm. Oops, sorry, apologies. I need to untick that first of all. So we'll do 20%, click confirm. It's now updated to 1,199, and the owner amount has adjusted correctly as well. So you have a choice. But again, all of this should have come through automatically. So I should only have to change this if I have done a special deal with the guest, or I've got a special compensation from the owner that I'm allowed to do a discount, or I've got permission from my manager, for example, that we can do this. Any questions on the financial figures here? Or is that all clear? Okay. So we've then got the holiday extras, and if there was any extras assigned to this property, we would be able to add them here, and we've got the ability to add all the guests in. So what I'm going to do now, before I move on to the other tabs, I'm just going to save and exit this booking, and I'm going to go ahead and do a new booking, which has got some extras in, so that we can see how the extras work. So let's do a closer one, actually. So let's do the 27th. So you see, I just click book now, so I can book directly from there. Let's put this as a repeat guest. So I'm going to type in Chris, bring them through. Let's say there's 2 adults going, and we've got some extras on here. So this one, you can see we've got the cancellation protection fee has been added automatically, the damage waiver has been added, the concierge fees has been added, and the service fee has been added. So we've got an extra 250 in our revenue there, and we're going to say that the pet's coming through as well. Okay, so if I put bank transfer here, and if I put payment cleared no, there'll be no payment added to this particular booking, and this will then be considered a provisional booking. So we've agreed the booking, but we have not yet received any money. So you see that we've got next payment due, 2,195, due by the 13th, which is today, and is matching there. And that information is taking each of these items that we've agreed are in the booking. So the cancellation protection fee, the damage waiver, the rental concierge, the service fee that we've added, the pets that we've added, the deposit in the balance. It's added all of that up, and the whole amount is due today. So what I can now do is click add guest payment, and I can go ahead and process that. So I'm going to click balance. I'll use the debit and credit cards, and I'm going to do save and process payment. And I'm now going to load in the card details here. So again, you can always, if someone rings up to say, I want to pay for my holiday, you can always process the payment. There's a bit of a caveat here at the moment. The only payment provider that allows us to do this is PayPal and SagePay. WorldPay doesn't allow us to do it, and Stripe have removed the functionality for that as well currently. So they only allow the guests themselves to process the payment. So you would have to give them the Pay Now link, so that they can pay themselves and go through 3D Secure. Okay, so the payment's gone through. You'll notice that all of these have now gone green. and they're all marked as paid. And we have our payment here, how much was taken, the payment date, who made the payment, and the exact date and time of that particular payment. And if I go into the activity section, you'll see that now we've sent the email. We've sent the email through to confirm that the booking has been made, and also the payment email will go through as well. One thing that I need to check here, I'm just going to refresh this a second. Okay, so we've got warning duplicate contact, click here to resolve. So I click onto that and it's showing me that there's two records. One is 100% match, one is a 90% match. So because it's missing address number 2, it hasn't got anything here. So I'm going to say that yes, I've got address number 2 in here, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to select all of these and I'm going to click merge, and I'm going to cleanse my database instantly by merging those three contacts together, and that will bring all of the booking history, inquiry history, emails, everything like that, all into that one record. So if I refresh this now, you'll see that the orange button has gone. And also you'll see that I've got my new booking Seaside House email has now gone through. And that's just to confirm that the booking has been completed and the payment was received. Yeah, the payment was received. Both of those have been delivered, but they haven't been viewed yet. So good question, Remy. In terms of extras, how does it all work? All covered in training session number 2. So in there, you decide whether or not these extras should be payable on order. So that's the key thing, on order or not, yes or no. So if it's on order, it means whenever they're added to the booking. So if they're added at the time of booking, they have to get paid with the deposit. If they're added after the deposit has been paid, they have to be paid that day. So for example, the damage waiver is a really good one for that. And so is any cancellation protection fee or refund protection. Because if you order that kind of thing and then don't pay for it immediately, you don't deserve the cover, basically. So as soon as they order it, they have to pay for it, so they're protected immediately from that date. You can't let them have it and then not pay until their balance is due, and then they cancel and they haven't paid that, so they don't actually get that particular service. So the on order is the important part. And if you go into extras here, let's just take the damage waiver here. Payable on order, set to yes. Therefore, it will be taken with the deposit and not with the balance. Things like pets, etc., you may always take with the balance. So therefore, you turn that off, and you can quite happily change the quantity of pets all the time until that moment they pay the balance, and then actually there's no adjustments for the pets. Any questions on the payments? Adding a guest payment within the screen here. Okay, and if I come down to the bottom bit here, you'll see that I've got my extras here, and I can simply select any extras from the drop down. I could also, at this point, if they suddenly called me up and said I want to bring 2 pets with me, I can change the quantity to 2. You'll notice that the price is actually only £75 for 2 pets. And what's happened is the balance has gone up by £25, and I will also have another rental pets to pay. So if I click save here, what we'll now have is I've got another rental pets that needs to be paid, and it's £25. So the add guest button, if I get my words out, add guest payment has appeared again now because it wasn't there a minute ago. Simply click add guest payment, and I can select against the pets. I can do debit credit cards. Again, this is another great feature of SagePay. So it's not available. Sorry, I say it's not available. It's available with Stripe, but they have to have made the first payment themselves. Then we have a token against that record, and we can process a second payment using the token. So I've just simply processed the second payment on the card that we have on file. We don't keep any of those card details, so you can tell the client that we only show the last 2 digits of the card, but we don't have any other details at all. It's all locked in with tokens and the payment provider that we use. Yeah, so in terms of adding payments, it's absolutely fine if the payments have come through a different way. So I'm going to go through a couple of examples now. So this particular booking here, 14457, if it comes in as a bank transfer, or if Airbnb pay you the money, for example, I can simply either use this feature at the top here, and I can put the card number, sorry, the booking ID number in here, brings up all the details. I can do the rental balance. And it might be that you have a payment option here. I don't know how the channel is going to pay you, whether or not they pay you by bank transfer or whether or not they pay to your, well, most of the time it should be bank transfer. So I would put bank transfer, paid from channel, for example. And that will simply go and update that booking, and that booking will now be marked as paid in full. So if I search this again, you'll see that this booking now is paid in full. The other thing that you can do, if I come to my balance payments outstanding, so I've got a number of bookings here. Let's just take a couple of these. So we've got that one. We'll take this one as well. So on your emails that you send to your guests, if they are going to pay via a bank transfer, I'd always recommend that they put their surname and they put their booking ID in. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to add payment. Sorry, so payments, add payment. It brings up the very similar screen to when I clicked here, but you can open up this when you're on this one as well. So I better refresh. But what I can do now is just simply put the booking ID in. Okay, it brings up the booking, so I can say they've paid the balance, it was by bank transfer, yes, I want to send the email, and then I'm going to do save and add another payment. And all that happens is it processes the payment, it processes the email, it gives me a new screen, so I can then put the next booking ID in, and I can select the booking ID, I can select that it's the balance payment, does it match up, have they paid that much money? If they have, great. You may have the situation where exchange rates. So for example, they may pay 1158, it worked out to be. So they're £8 short in this example. If that's the case, I would have to make a decision how I'm going to update this particular booking because they still owe £8. Am I going to claim that £8 or am I going to adjust it? So let's say I need to adjust this one. So I'd untick the email, click save and add payment. What I'm now going to do is going to go to that booking. And you see that we're owed £8 here. So what am I going to do? How am I going to fix this? So let's do £8. And I'm going to discount that from my commission, for example. So we'll just do that. That's how it would come off my commission. It wouldn't touch the owner amount at all. So discount deducted from commission. I could request it as an extra payment from the guest. That's absolutely fine. But if I do the discount, what will now happen is the booking is paid in full, and that warning message will disappear and it'll be marked as paid in full. Okay, so now you can see it's gone green. So one of the other features that you may use for, especially when you've got repeat guests that just call you up and are just like, oh, can I book such and such a property? So on the left-hand side, you've got the property calendar. You may also come through on the calendar. So if you've got a number of properties, this is really handy. If you've got a number of properties all in the same location and they're all very similar. If you've got a block of apartments, for example, that you rent out, what you can do here is just select the block of apartments or the location. You can look at the calendar and you can just simply click. You get the price. You can add booking. And now we're going through and we're booking the next well, processing the next booking basically. So if I come through, do I want to add any extras to this one? No, I don't. So I'm just going to go through. Let's say it's a repeat guest, so we can actually process it immediately. So we take that, and what I'm going to do this time is I'm just going to click confirm. That will process the booking, send the emails to the relevant people, and this time it's just taking me straight back to the booking dashboard, so I can carry on with whatever else I was doing. So the property calendar and the calendar, really handy for having a good overview of what's going on that property. I know a lot of people also, if the owner rings up and says, well, what bookings have you got for me this year? This is actually a really nice view to show them, because you can come into here, you can say, well, okay, look, we've got these bookings, we've got a few gaps here. You know, what do you want to do with these? I know why those gaps would be there for you guys at the moment, but you would be able to just do something there. Plus you can go on to 2021 and you can see all the future bookings for that property as well. So it's quite a nice, simple way of doing things. Plus you have all the contact details here. If you're bringing calendars in from the iCal, you can also force the iCal sync as well, so that you know that you've got 100% availability on this particular property if you're using their iCals. So just to answer a question on one of the changes that I just made. So I've had a question to say, can we just edit the price? And yes, you can just edit the price. The only issue I would have with just editing the price though, is you're going to lose the history. It's not going to flag up as a discrepancy. If I go in and here and edit the price and change that to 1888, for example, so they paid me £7 less, iPro will show you in the reports that the guest paid the amount they were supposed to pay, which is fine, because they have in this example. But the question is it's people do this thing and they do it once and they do it twice, they do it 3 times, and they kind of lose count and they lose track of it. By using the discount field, you're actually being able to see, well, how much have I discounted across the year? You know, if I let £7 off every single booking that we processed, how much does that cost me? You know, what are your rules? You know, if someone is short on an exchange rate of £50, is that your marker where you say you have to go and get the money off them? You know, you have to have those internal rules, because the banks are a pain for charging multiple times when people do bank transfers. So yeah, you have to decide what is an acceptable cost to incur on the exchange rate variance. And you just have to put those rules in place. And then I would always like to use a discount, because I can then track, if it was my business, how much we've given as a discount across the year. It may even be that you want to actually flag it on here as well. You may even want to have a tag, exchange rate variance adjustment made. You know, those are the kind of things that you can do, so that you can easily see how frequently that happens for your business, based on the different guests, the different countries where people are booking from. So adding extras, adding guest details within the booking here. So you can put guest names in. There's quite a lot of information here. You can put in as much information for each guest as you want. Certain countries will have to put more information in. So they have to have all of the details for all of the guests. This data is also available within the guest portal, so that you can actually go ahead and just put the names in here, and then they will populate the information in the guest portal. So you can send them an email, point them to the guest portal, they can populate it, and then the reports that we bring out on the other side will have all of the check-in information for each of your guests. Okay, has anyone got any questions in regards to the extras, or is everyone happy to how they can add extras to a booking, how they can remove extras from a booking? Okay, So everyone seems fine there. So a couple of things that I just want to go through. This particular booking has a security deposit, and you can see that we've got the refund security deposit here. So we've got a security deposit set of £500. If I come into my payment history, you'll see that the security deposit was paid, and it was paid as all part of this big payment that paid everything off. What we can now do is, if I click on to refund security deposit, it will show me it's a process of how you can refund. So let's imagine the holiday here is completed. Are we going to refund the whole of the security deposit? So for example, if I say 0, the next thing it will say was how much of the security deposit should be kept. I'm going to put 500 in here for this example, and I'm just going to explain why we do this double entry here. It's been requested that when you use security deposits and someone does, they stain a carpet or something, you've got £500, you know that the security deposit isn't going to it's not going to cost more than £500, or it's not going to cost more than £200, for example, but you don't know the exact number, and it might take many months to get that exact number. So the idea is you can refund part of the deposit immediately, and you can retain part of the deposit, so that once you get that final bill, you can then use that money to pay the bill, and then you can refund anything that is left over after that amount. So what you say here is how much of the deposit should be refunded. We're going to say nothing at the moment, and we're going to record that we're going to keep all of it. So how much of the deposit should be kept? So we're going to keep £500, and we're going to say that it was because the table was broken. Next thing that we do is how much is going to go to the owner. So out of that £500, and this could be above the security deposit as well, because this is going to be a credit. We're going to create a credit note to the owner that when you run your financial statement, it will automatically add to that statement. So depending on your negotiation skills and how you've discussed this problem with the owner, hopefully your worst case scenario would be that you do something like that, £450. So you're going to say, right, the guests have broken something. They've created a whole host of work for me. I've gone and spoke to the owner. We've managed to now get someone in to fix that problem. It's going to cost us £450 with the owner. So that's what we're going to have to pay them. So I'm going to keep the £500, and therefore I'm going to have an income of £50, which will be VATable as well. So you would have a £50 income. So that would be inclusive of VAT, I should say, sorry. So you would have an extra income here, and that's kind of what you need to be working on. You may even want to go as far as that when there's so much work involved with these breakages. Based on the payment methods, I mean, I'm not actually refunding anything to the guest, so it doesn't matter. But if you were refunding money to the guest and you had their card details, if you have debit and credit cards selected here, it will automatically refund the money back to the card, and it is irreversible. So if you do that, it will refund the money, and you cannot then claim that money back. So you do need to make sure that you've got everything in order before you go through and process this. If you leave the email option ticked, it will automatically send an email to the guest, and it will tell them how much is being refunded and the reason why you are keeping money, which is whatever you put in this box here. So please don't put that the guest was an arsehole and broke the table, and just put the table was broken. Yes, all refunds we can do on all payment providers. So what we now have is we've got a credit note for the damages, and we've refunded the security deposit back to the guest as well. So we've got, we've kept the security deposit, I should say. So yeah, we've now got a damages payment that's been recorded to the guest, and we've got a damages payment from the guest of 500, which we've kept. and we've also taken the £400 that is going to go onto the owner statement, and that will actually, we'll go through the owner statements in next week's training sessions. I think it's 8, 9, 10, something like that. Session number 10. The other thing you can do with your bookings, it may be that you've got a booking that doesn't normally have a security deposit, but you've decided based on the group size, the type of holiday that they're booking. Sorry, let me go to paid in full. So let's take one of these bookings here. Okay, so this particular booking is paid in full. They check in on the 3rd of October. We've decided that because they're going to increase, let's have a look how many this sleeps. Okay, so it sleeps 18. So this is a good example. So let's say we've got 18 people go in now, and we've decided we are going to take, to protect this house, £2,500 security deposit. So we simply click security deposit. We enter the amount we're going to take. And if I now save this, you'll see that I've got in my payments, I've got a security deposit that we can take. So I can click pay. We can do debit credit cards. So we're going to take the security deposit. Put the card details in if I've still got them. And we've now added a security deposit to the booking, and we have the refund security deposit feature. So even if you don't usually use security deposits, you can always add a security deposit to any booking. For those of you that are interested in Booking Protect, the limit is 2,500 per person. So if you've got 10 people going, you could insure up to £25,000. Therefore, if there was only 3 people going, you wouldn't be able to offer their cancellation protection or refund protection. So in theory, you could offer the security deposit instead. So that would be the best option there. 2 seconds. Okay, apologies for that. That was an urgent art craft update to Dad. So apologies for that interruption. Okay, so yeah, you can add. Is everyone clear on the security deposits and how you can easily add that to a booking, even if that property doesn't have a security deposit configured by normally? Okay, looks good. So there's really one thing that I wanted to go through now. I don't think we need to spend too much time on sending emails, logging calls, logging notes, and setting tasks, because we've covered that. That works exactly the same in each of these areas where you have the activity tab. So the behavior is exactly the same. I would 100% recommend that you always log every single call, and you always log notes if there's something important for someone that they need to know about this particular booking. Because again, this screen here should be your Bible for this particular booking. Basically means if I was working for you and someone called up, so if Joe Cravagan called up and had a question about his booking, I would be able to answer that call, and I'd be able to give him all of the information based on the data that I see here. That's kind of your marker. If I open up this booking and I'm like, oh, I don't know what this is all about, I'm going to have to speak to Andy because he's the one who did the booking. You're not updating your booking system correctly. That's your marker. That's your rule. All of you have to run your business like that so that you can be on top of all of the weird and wonderful and amazing varieties that can happen in the vacation rental market. So yeah, make sure you use log call, log notes, etc. Print letter confirmation if someone wants a physical copy, you can actually print out PDFs and so forth. Or if you like to have a printed copy of all your booking confirmations, then I would use the print letter confirmation as well. Again, however, most people are moving to a paperless office now. Does the log, so I've got a question here, does the log note show on the summary booking details? So we don't bring these notes through on the summary details, so you would need to come into the booking to see these, or you'd need to be on the contact records. But as I say, if there's something that is urgent with the booking or a problem with the booking, then you are going to need to be inside this record to see it. So the other thing that we've got is the ability to log a complaint. So if something goes wrong with this booking, we want to try and work out, is there something consistently happening? Is there something wrong with what we're doing that's causing these complaints? So how can we identify how frequently we're getting complaints, how serious the complaints are, and what categories do they fall under? So part of the settings, we went through how to customize your reasons. You should have a good default list that's available to you from the start, but you can customize those. And if we had, so children couldn't access Netflix on the iPads. Okay, so I think that probably happens more and more now. Everyone is bringing their phones and their iPads with them. Wi-Fi is the only thing that's gonna work for them. So if you couldn't get the Wi-Fi working, what's the solution? Again, really important here that these are summary boxes. They are not for war and peace. So it should be, like I've just put there, a summary. I may have in my notes and calls here, client calls to complain, Wi-Fi is not acceptable, cannot run Netflix. So the conversation may be recorded day in, day out here, how it's escalated, what we've tried to do. We took 4G routers there, whatever we've done, you would record here, but then in the complaint, we would summarize it. So we have agreed a £250 voucher for 2021. So I can agree, and then we can create a voucher that we can provide to that particular guest, which they can use across our portfolio. And then in that example, there's no financial compensation needed to the owner. If we had something more serious, which was unexpected building works, we could then have our reason, and we could then have our summary of the conclusion. And in this example, we've agreed £250 compensation, and we're going to give, the owner has agreed to pay the whole amount, 250. I would potentially, again, be looking at the admin involved in this particular scenario. So rather than going in with exactly what the guest wants, I'd always go to the owner and get more, because of the additional admin that we've had to do. Especially if it was the owner's fault, they never told us about the building work and they would have known about it. I would be looking at that. What then happens is the system will automatically create a compensation payment to the guest. You can see this button has appeared here now. And what it's also gone and done in the bill section, so I'll show you this one little bit, it's created a charge of £350 to the owner for the error that they made with their property that has cost us good faith with our guests. So we will now claim that money back off the next statement. And we can then, based on the guest thing, now we've got it all finalized, we can go ahead and pay the compensation. And this will, it's telling me that we've got it on card. So I can take it off the deposit. This was actually paid directly to the owner, so I can do the 2,500 or 250, sorry, straight back to the card here, and it will refund straight back to the person's card. So that compensation button has now been removed, and we can mark that as dealt with. Any questions with the login a complaint and how you manage the guest compensation and charging the owner? Or was that clear for everyone? If you can give me a thumbs up or a yep or a yes in the chat window, just to make sure that we can kind of bring things to a close. I just want to show one last thing actually before I do. Excellent. Okay. So I clicked on it previously when I was looking at the blocking of the next day after a booking. Compensation does not show that you've paid to the guest. It doesn't show for that bit, but it shows on the what you're charging the owner. So what you've agreed that the owner is going to pay you because of that complaint, that shows on their statement because you're going to charge them for that particular service. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't show what you've agreed to pay the guest. So that's why you can quite happily, especially if it's the owner's fault. If it's your fault, then I probably would, that's going to be your cost. But it's a charge that you can then have as an income because of their mistake, but they're not seeing what you're paying the guest as compensation. So on the top right here, we've got our calendar. I can add a booking as well, but I can do an owner booking. And my owner booking, if I type in the name of the property, I can put the dates in and you can see it brings through the calendar. So you know what's available and what's not available. So we've got the 3rd to the 10th, 2 people going. I can confirm the booking. It will send a confirmation to the owner as well to say that we've added your owner booking so they can make sure that we've added it correctly. I can do confirm and add another, which means that I can add multiple dates in one go. And I can do confirm and open if I want if I want to be able to add additional information to the owner booking. So some of you treat your owner bookings the same as a guest booking because you have to do housekeeping and cleaning, etc. The owner may request additional information and additional services. So if that is the case, you do confirm and open, and then you can manage it just like a normal booking. If I do confirm and add, the screen flicks and I can then go through and type in the cottage again, and I can do the next one. So let's go into here. And if I do confirm, it just simply closes it down. And as we did before with the block out, it's exactly the same, except for this time it adds a block out. The difference between a block out and an owner booking is that a block out is not visible in your booking screen at all. So if I put in here maintenance and confirm block out, and if we go into the property calendar, you'll see I've got my block out here, and I've also got my block out here, which is for cleaning. If I click onto that, it gives me the details. I can remove the block out from here. I can add another block out, but it's never going to be visible in this screen here. Whereas my owner bookings, as you can see here, are visible just like any other normal booking. Okay, so for today's session, that is pretty much it. So what I'm going to do now is open it up for any general questions, anything you need me to go back over again. Please put them in the Q&A now. I'm going to launch the feedback just to see how you all found that training session. But please do ask any questions while I'm online, and I'll surely go through those for you. Okay, looks like everyone is up to speed with the bookings then. So everyone was happy with that. So thank you very much for your feedback. It is most appreciated. So tomorrow we're going to go through some of the advanced features of the booking. So how we can use vouchers, how we can transfer a booking, how we can cancel a booking, how we can claim money back off the booking. So a lot of the stuff that's going to impact your statements ready for next week's training session. So if there's no more questions. So yeah, just some feedback I've just received with the block counts. It's a good point. So the block counts, we did change the property calendar so that it does show the block counts, and you can remove the block counts on both of these calendars. But it is easier to do the owner bookings, and we were actually kind of contemplating whether or not to remove block counts altogether, so you only have owner bookings. Because what we've done with some of our other clients, which actually I didn't show you this, booking tags. So owner booking, I haven't actually got it set up, so let me just do that now. What we set up on other client sites. So we've got maintenance. So yeah, we do maintenance, and we're going to do another one, which is owner use. And we're going to do a okay, so just as an example, now when I come in to add an owner booking, they would actually select that this is a, oops. Did I not save those properly? Well, anyway, what I was going to show you here was maintenance. So you could actually, they would tag it as an owner booking, and it's for maintenance. An owner booking because they're actually coming themselves, or it's an owner booking and it's because they've actually booked it with another partner that they use, where you're a dual agent, for example. What you can then do is you can actually look at how well you're maximizing your occupancy. So whereas a block out, it literally just blocks it out. So what you then might have, if you've got an agency where you literally do not take any bookings from November through to March, you would use the block out feature, because it just says that that calendar is never going to be available for us to use. But then you use owner bookings and bookings during that window where you are taking active bookings. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful, Kate. Lovely. If there's no more questions.
Andy, sorry, there's another question from Remy. You're gonna have to refer to the chat.
Does the auto let the guest know how much is due on their second payment regardless?
Go above first, the first part. Say for example, a guest overpays.
Or underpays a deposit, and this makes the schedule under. Do we need to manually change? No, you don't need to manually change, because we bring through the balance of that schedule. So the balance schedule, let's say the what's the date today? The 13th. So let's say the balance is due on the 20th, and the balance is £1,000, but on the deposit they paid extra. So it means that actually the balance now only owes £900. We would send the email based on the money being due on the 20th, but we would show the £900 and not the £1,000 on the email. Okay. Right. No more questions. So thank you very much again. And I shall see you all tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Take care. Thank you.